In this video, we're covering Assa Abloy AH40 Hub and Avigilon Unity Access Control System configuration. Let's take a look in the requirements. You need to have Unity Access Control 648 or above, Assa Abloy Aperial programming application that you can download from the Assa Abloy website, and we are currently using version 29.0.1. You will need an Assa Abloy AH40 Hub with the latest firmware. And in this video, we are using Assa Abloy Wireless Lock IN100. You also need an Assa Abloy USB dongle antenna to connect wirelessly to the AH40 and the wireless lock. And just in case you want to have a USB cable to connect with the wireless lock. So if for some reason you can connect with a dongle, the cable is much easier. You just have to open the back of the wireless lock where the batteries are, and there is a USB port that can be connected directly to it. So let's go ahead and take a look now at the software. Okay, I already have the application installed in my system, but for the time of this recording, the application is running version 29.0.10. So you want to make sure that you have the latest version when you're doing install. What you're going to notice right now that all those options are disabled. The only option enabled here is the USB cable. And you will see that I don't have the USB radio dongle connected in my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and connect that now. And once you do that, it will enter the dongle in there, and this now shows it connected. So now you can see that I have some options in here that I can click. I'm going to go ahead and click in here in the quick scan. This is so I can find the AH40 that is already plugged in. So I have an AH40 connected to a PoE switch in my system. You can either do PoE or you can do 12 volts. Do not plug both at the same time. So you cannot have PoE and 12 volts power connected at the same time. So pick one. So mine is connected to a PoE, and I'm gonna go ahead and just click this quick scan. This will go scan in the frequency bands that they're connected to, and here it comes out. So I have my my hub and also a wireless lock. So I'm gonna go ahead and connect to the wireless lock. I know it's this one here. Is retrieving the hub. I saw wireless lock, but this is the hub. So I'm going to start with the hub, and then I'm going to program the wireless lock. On the wireless lock side, that's not a whole lot of programming you need to do. It's more of a some preferences that you can do in there. The bulk of that will be done here. So right now is retrieving my my hub, my AH40, and this will populate. So let's go ahead and try again. And you need to be in close proximity to that. So let's see if it connects now. Here you go. So maybe some interference, but it's actually a good test to see that if it doesn't connect, just go ahead and try again. Make sure that the computer is close by. I'm not super close to it, but it's still able to retrieve. So my system, my hub is configured already with a wireless lock. So you'll see that this is the hub, this is the wireless lock, and this is the wireless lock ID. So I'm going to click there. You'll see some information in here. So here's my Aperial hub. It gives a firmware, the channels. This is configurable, so you can go and pick the channels that you want. And then there's some important piece of information in here. This has the IP address. So this is the IP address of the hub itself, and this over here is the IP address of the Mercury board, the Mercury controller or panel that I'm connecting this AH40 to. So the AH40 over the network is going to communicate to the Mercury board to pass the information to the access control. And then here TLS encrypted and the port that we're using. So let's go ahead and take a look how we configure that. So if you select the hub over here, I can just go ahead and right click at it. If you don't have any lock connected to that hub, this option will not appear. So you will have this option here. So you have a couple options in this screen. So you can do, if you already have an IP set to the AH40, you can click in here and change the IP address right there. Or you can click here in configure and go through the configuration. And this is the part where we can go and do a pairing with a lock. So I have a new lock. I want to pair the lock to that AH40. That's where you do it. So first you need to configure the hub. Then you configure the lock. You pair the lock to the hub. And after that, we can go in ACM and connect ACM to the AH40 hub. So let's go ahead and click here for configuration. This screen comes up. It talks about security mode. I'm using manufacturer mode, meaning is unsecured is open, so I can connect using the dongle key. You can switch that, and you will see that any screen that you're on, you can switch by clicking, or change configuration by clicking the change button right there. So I'm just gonna go ahead and leave this the way it is now and hit next. This is some additional information in here that I just leave on the defaults. It's not a whole lot that I wanna change in here. It's more for this is for a legacy addressing, not the case that we don't use it. So I'm just keeping the way this is now. Go ahead and click next. And this is where basically you're going to come and change or add the information that you need, IP addresses and so on. So click there, and I can add my subnet mask and my default gateway because I already have my IP. So if it's the first time you're doing this, you should see the IP address here as well. Then after that, the ACU settings. So this is how do I connect the hub to the Mercury board. So this is the IP of the Mercury board. So I'm going to go ahead and click there. And you can enter the IP address, the port that you want to utilize. The default is 9999, which is also configured in Avigilon Unity Access Control, so is there as well. And very important, you want to make sure that you enable TLS. If you don't enable TLS, it will not communicate with ACM. So this is all encrypted communication, so you want to make sure that you do that. So once you do with that, go ahead and hit save. And once you okay with information here, hit next. This lets you select the channels. I pick channels I was instructed by Assa Abloy to use those channels. They seem to be a good spread. You notice that I can select 3. So if I remove one, I can now go pick any other option I want. So you have a maximum of 3 that you can select. So I'm going to go ahead and just do 15, 20, 25. Then hit OK. And then next, I kept this as the default. If you want to change it again, you can go in here and change the defaults. It talks about if you want to change or not and what's going to happen. I noticed that this interval, it seems to be quite okay. So we'll go ahead and just hit next. And every time that you run a configuration, it will update, it will check the time with the unit, with the AH hub. So, okay, I'm good with that. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit apply. This is going to go and apply the configuration. I didn't change anything. So then the only thing that I've applied was the time and date. Okay, let's go ahead and close that. Next, we're going to link a lock to the AH40. Okay, so I have here an AH40 already configured, no lock assigned to it. You see there's no locks down here. So I'm going to go ahead and you can perform a quick scan. Quick scan will search in the channels that you have selected. And if you do a full scan, it will just go and scan throughout all the channels that the dongle key support. I'm going to go ahead and right click this, and I'm going to go to Hub Communication here, and I'm going to click here. Pair with a lock. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. It's going to search for the lock. And now I have 30 seconds to present a badge in front of the lock. So I'm doing that here in my lock. Just presenting a card to it. And this what does, it triggers the lock to communicate with the hub. And we should see now the when the time runs out, it should present the lock that we have that I have initiated here. What I notice is that this sometimes can happen, so all you have to do is just try that again. Go in communications and pair, and go ahead and present a card to it. And once you do that, it should find a reader. Go ahead and presenting that. So when that process is complete, you'll see the name of the lock in here. This is the actual lock ID. So I'm going to go ahead and click close. It's already paired. And this now should show up right here. So here it is, my lock is now paired to that. So if I right click again in here, now you'll see that I can configure the lock, or I can configure the hub. So as you add more locks, you will see them in the list in here. Okay. So this is configured now. So I have my AH40 that has IP address, the IP address of the ACU, the access control unit, or a Mercury board. And now I'm going to jump into the Avigilon Unity former ACM, and I'm going to go ahead and configure that in there. Okay, I'm already logged in ACM, so I'm going to go ahead and just show you how we configure the wireless lock, the hub and the wireless lock to work in ACM. So the AH40 and the wireless lock, I'm using a IN100 in this case. First thing you need to do is go to appliance. So you're going to go up here in ACM, go into setup and settings, and click on appliance. Just to make this video shorter and faster, I already have some tabs open with the screens that we're going to need to go. So once you get this screen here, that's the appliance screen, you want to look at here, Aperio ACU port. You want to make sure that you add the same port, which is, this is the default. This is the port that we add into the Aperio hub. Okay, so you want to make sure that you do that. So here's my Aperio hub, and this is the port that I'm talking about. Okay, right there. So this is the, again, this is the IP address of the AH120 that I need to add that to the Mercury controller, which we'll do in a minute. And this is the Mercury controller IP address and the port that we're going to be connecting. So this port right here has to match with this one over here. Once we're done with this, don't forget to click save at the bottom. Once you're done with that, now we can move to the panels. I already have that configured, but I'm going to go ahead and show you how you do that. So you're going to go here to panels. You're going to click and add panel. So here at the bottom, there is an add panel. Or if you already have the panel added to ACM, just go ahead and select the panel. So let's say I'm going to go ahead and select the panel over here. And I'm going to here to subpanels. So click there. And I'm going to go and click here, add a subpanel. So once you do that, enter the name of that subpanel. And here we're going to go ahead and select Aperio AH40 Hub right there. And this is where you're going to enter the IP address of that Aperio Hub. So let's go ahead and take a look at the software one more time. So here's the Aperio software. You're going to enter this IP address, is the IP address of the hub. Okay, so go ahead and enter that. Again, the port is going to be grayed out. That's the port that we're communicating. Don't forget to click install. So that means you want this to be working right now. Enter the name and hit save. I already have that configured, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how that looks like. So click here. This is how it looks like. Installed. This is my IP address of my AH40 and the port. Click save on that. And when you go back here to status, you should see that here online. If for some reason it doesn't come online right away, what I notice is that if you do a reset download in the panel, you don't need to do that. But if you do that, it seems to be a little bit faster. So it will bring this online and ready. If you don't see this online, don't try to add the door because you're not communicating with the wireless with the hub. So you need to communicate with the hub first. So go ahead and do that. So once you see that online, great. Now we can go ahead and do the doors. So go ahead and create the doors. So I'm going to go here to doors, and under the doors, you can click add a door. Skip the templates. I'm going to do this manually. So skip that. Enter a name here for how you want to call that door. It's always a good idea to put location. So when you when you go back to the doors and you want to figure, hey, where is this door located, or any alternative name, so you can use it. You don't have to, but it's always a good idea to do that. And then here I'm going to select Mercury, because this wireless lock or this wireless hub, right, there's a AH40 is connected to a Mercury board. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. This comes up. Now I got to tell them which panel this is. In my case, it's a LP2500. Okay. This works with all the LP series. And I'm going to pick the AH as a sub panel. Now watch what happens. When you do that, it's going to ask you for the device ID. Okay, let's go back to the Pure Hub software one more time. This lock ID is the number that shows over here. This is the number of the lock, or down here is right there. That's the lock sensor ID. Okay, so you want to type that in. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I already have that dot configured here in my system. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that. And that's right there. That's how you link the lock, in this case IN100, to ACM. Okay, and then you have all the other configurations in here that you can do. How do you want that to be? So I'm going to go ahead and do a few things in here that I want to do. And I can go to Operations tab right there, and I can enter the card formats that I want to use with that. Okay, all the hardware is already selected because this is a wireless lock, so this is all pre-configured. From this point on, all we have to do is just go over here and present a card. I already have a card set up in here. And you get a valid access. So that means the system is working. Okay, so that's basically how you configure a AH40 with an IN100 wireless lock.